And it's crazy that these all these little small companies want you to do these weird things. They want you to take these personality tests, these cognitive tests. They want you to take all these design tests. They want you to come in, do 12 interviews just to pay you $30,000 a year. Do you hear me? They want you to jump through literally fiery hoops to work for them, and then they reward you with bullshit. What up, unicorns? Eric Abram here, and welcome to another episode of the UX Unicorns podcast. You know I gotta get my singing in. Last week I didn't get my singing in, but I got my rapping in. You feel me? Yeah, I got my rapping in. Just something a little different. If you guys didn't know, I used to rap in college, man. I used to do my little thing. You know, I used to listen to a lot of Lupe Fiasco, a lot of Common, a lot of Talib Kweli, and things like that back in the days. So I convinced myself that I was going to be a conscious rapper. And you know what? I put out 2 CDs. Actually, I've been rapping since I was like 16, but in college, I kind of took it a little serious, like around 22 years old. And so I put out like 2 CDs, like one actual album called Invisible Man. I can't believe I remembered that. It's called Invisible Man. It was sort of emo, dude. I was talking about like I was so hurt. I was so hurt about this and so hurt about that. Like, oh my God, I was going through some stuff, man. It was insane. I'm still trying to go through old hard drives to see if I can find any of that stuff so I can play it on the podcast. Because I think it's pretty funny that I used to want to be a rapper and now I no longer have interest in doing that. So yeah, you're welcome, world. That didn't happen. That's how people rap nowadays. It sounds like my dog eating food. It is horrible. But anyway, how's everybody's Christmas and Christmas Eve and all the other jazz and whatever holiday that you celebrate around this time? How is everybody doing? And how's everybody's week? Put that in the comments how your week was, and put that in the comments how your holiday was. As we all know, your boy's still on vacation because I ain't going back to January. January. You know, it's all the same. It's all the same word, man. It's just a little different how you say it. Man, I'm a goofball, you guys. I'm a goofball, but I really like being a goofball. So, today's podcast, man, it's basically what I talked about, I want to say a couple months ago. So I did a video on this too. So you guys can check that video out if you want to, but I'm going to be talking about it in the podcast, maybe elaborate a little bit more on what happened in that video or what I'm trying to say. But anyways, so I was very curious to how people like landed their first UX job. As you all know, like I'm a new UXer. Probably been in the game over a year now for being a graphic designer. If you didn't know, if you want to hear that story, make sure you go to podcast episode 1 and listen to that. And so basically, you know, I do this thing because, you know, I want to help out other like, you know, new UX designers and people like that, the fresh UXers and people just trying to, you know, make it into the user experience field. So, you know, and I was always interested, like, yo, how did you people get your first UX job? I was always curious to know because you always hear different stories about how people got UX jobs. And, you know, I just basically what I did was I went on my LinkedIn and I made this poll. And I'm going to read off my phone. Sorry for that. I'm going to put it on the screen too. Right there. Did it work? Did I put it on the screen? I'll take my hand down. So I'm gonna put it on the screen right there so you guys can kind of see the results. If you guys can't see the results, that's probably because you're driving in your car, going 60. I'm not gonna do it again. The voice of a golden goose, golden duck, mighty ducks, go to win. You know what I said. I'm not gonna do it this time. But anyways, go to YouTube. Dang, that's all I gotta say, man. If you want to see the visuals, go to YouTube. That's all I gotta say, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. So this is what I wrote in the actual post. I really hope this battery doesn't die on my iPad because I did not charge it. It's on 28% and it's connected to this camera right here. Maybe this one still stay on. I hope so. We gotta hurry up to get this podcast done, so you guys can get onto your new year in 2021 and all the other jazz. Hey, also for 2021. I'm gonna put together a survey. I'm gonna put that out there. I kind of want to get some feedback on the podcast. What do you guys think about it? What are some topics you want me to discuss or talk about? And also, what sort of like videos that you want me to do, or that you want to see, or the things that you want to learn from me. So I'm gonna put together that survey. I didn't think this through, but yes, I'm putting out the survey. I got to make the survey. I actually just started that. That's a good idea. So I'm gonna put together a survey and try to get some feedback. Cause look, I'm in user experience. This is what I do. So I want to create a good user experience for my audience, the other unicorns gang, 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 gang. Man, this battery's about to die on this camera, but hopefully not. Anyway, so I said, I'm truly interested in what methods people actually use to land their first UX job. And I said, click the method that worked for you. And so the methods that I listed, the methods that I listed were, this is not in any particular order, but you guys can see the order. So I'm just going to go down the list from how I wrote them down. One was, the first one I wrote down was job board. The second one was recruiter. Third one was referrals. And then I put other for the last one. So other meant like, maybe you got promoted to user experience from a position that you've already worked within the company. You actually didn't apply. You didn't actually go through a job board, go through a recruiter, go through a referral. You just kind of got promoted from that, or you went directly to the source. So you went directly to the company's website and you applied and you did all that jazz that way. So that's why I put other. So I didn't really specify what other was because I said other, please comment. You think that people commented? No, because people ain't got time. People got time to click that button, but they ain't got time to write nothing out. This is what I'm starting to uncover when I'm putting together this new application, when I'm researching stuff. People really do hate typing stuff in. I'm like, man, they make keyboards for a reason, bruh. Anyways, so as you can see, those were the 4 options. So now I'm going to go through the options, ranking from the least all the way up to the number 1 selection. For those of you on YouTube, you can see it, but let's talk about it if you're driving in that car, going 60 miles an hour, listen to the voice of a golden goose. All right, let me quit playing. I'm just having too much fun in my podcast. But anyways, so number 4 on the list was recruiter at 11%. And let me just say this too. I surveyed this poll and I got about 46 results. So that's pretty good. I got about 46 people who did this. So usually with user testing, you can do like 5 people get some good results, but 46 people, that's a pretty good amount. Even though I have over 1,000 followers on LinkedIn, come on guys, I got to get that engagement up. Engage with your boy, man. Engage with your boy. That's what I'm talking about. Let's do this thing. But anywho's, so number 4 was recruiter. So at 11%, does this mean that recruiters don't have a place in getting people jobs for you? No, that's not what this poll is saying. It's saying as effectiveness, recruiters come in at 11% as the least option for landing your first UX job. And I can see how that could be because a lot of recruiters, they get paid on getting people into the door, right? So if I'm a recruiter and I get you a job at XYZ company and I get paid for however many hours you work per week, because that's how I get paid. So let me give you an example of how this recruiting thing works. Let me know if I'm wrong if you're a recruiter. So I work at a recruiting company We go to a business and say like, hey, we got some great candidates for you. And they're like, all right, cool. What's their salary expectation? And I tell you, my salary expectation is $50 an hour. They're like, haha, idiot. They're like, cool, great. We could get you in at $50 an hour. But they're going to go to the actual company and say the hourly rate is $100 an hour. See the game? Do you see the game? I should start a recruiting company because for every hour that you work, that company pays the recruiting service $100 an hour. And then the recruiting company pays you the $50 an hour because guess what? You are technically hired through the recruiting service. You are a W-2 of the recruiting service. So therefore, at the end of that year, you get that W-2, you get that tax, but thing is like you're technically a contractor, but you're an employee of the recruiting service. It's weird how it works. I'm not a tax professional. I don't make the laws, but that's how that would work. So recruiter, very interesting. And also, like I said before, I get it too because like as a recruiter, I'm more likely to get somebody in the door who already has experience with inside of UX. I see that it's kind of harder to get somebody their first role into user experience because recruiting companies, they're most likely those type of people who no, not the recruiting companies, but the companies that go to recruiters, they don't have like a lot of time to train people or whatever. They're looking to try to get some people up really quickly, up to speed really fast. So that's interesting. Now, number 2 at 15% is other. And like I said before, other was when you went to the website, you directly applied or you got promoted within the position as a former like designer or whatever the heck your background was. So other was at 50%, and I kind of fall into the other category. When I got my first UX job, actually, well, mine was kind of weird. So I'm gonna kind of break it down a little bit. So when I was working at my first job at FleetCor, I was a contract graphic designer through the creative group here in Atlanta. So I worked there for, I want to say around like 4, almost 5 months, right? But my initial contract for that position was only supposed to be for 3 months. So I was asking like, yo, what's the end date? Was the end date? Because they didn't really have an end date. And I was just like, well, I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this. So is it either there's an end date or I'm going to have to end this date. And that's kind of what happened. I ended the date. So this position was that's why that's why this one is kind of an other because like I got the job as a graphic designer through the creative group as a contractor, right? I quit that job and then because and also the creative group has in their contract that hey, if you go back or get actually I didn't know this. But if you go back to that company and you reapply for another position, you have to go through them still, even though they did not get you the job, the second job. So that was very interesting to know that. So I didn't know that going forward. I knew that when I went back over my contract and I was like, oh. So how did that happen? So I got distracted. So let me get back on track. I got the job through the creative group at FleetCor. Great. I quit FleetCor and I told the creative group I was leaving. I left on good terms. And so there was a UI UX position on FleetCor's website that, after that whole story about me talking to Cliff from Salesforce and he's like, you need to apply for these jobs. And so I did that. So I went on the actual website. I applied. I got an interview and I got the job. Right? So I think what really helped me because I knew a lot of people there as well. But the creative group had to get re-involved in the process because I was still technically under their banner because it hasn't been a year yet that revolved that my year with them didn't like go over whatever. So after I went to the website and applied, after I got the interview and crushed it, after I got the job myself, the creative group still got paid, dude. They still got paid, even though I technically did all the damn work. It was crazy, man. And my recruiter, and I was trying to, and my recruiter didn't do anything for me, dude. It was insane. And so like I was like trying to keep them informed, trying to keep them up to date after I knew that I had to like go back through them again. So basically I was updating them like, yo, I'm doing this and doing this. And they didn't even know at the end of it, they didn't even know that I was the guy getting hired for that position. Can y'all believe that? My recruiters didn't even know that I was the guy getting hired for the UI UX position at FleetCor. They didn't even know. I told them that that was me because I was like, hey, is there any update from FleetCor? Blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, they went ahead and they hired somebody internally, blah, blah, blah. I was like, they really? I was like, well, I just got an email and they said that I got the position. They were like, really? That's you? I was like, yeah, that's me. How do you not know this? Like, I've been telling you guys everything that I'm doing, and why would they not communicate that out to you guys? And first of all, why don't you know? Like, that's insane to me that they didn't know that the person getting hired for the position was me. Because guess what? Because I did all the work and I did all the interviewing, but at the same time, I was updating them. I was telling them I was interviewing. I was telling them like this is what I'm asking for. I was showing them correspondence through the email chain, and they were trying to blame it on the internal recruiter or whatever. I'm like, look, this is insane. Like, you guys should be updating me on the process, not me updating you on the process. If that's the case, why do I even need you? Why are you even coming to the picture? So this is whole big deal, and it was like kind of a big deal that I got hired on with FleetCor as a permanent employee. I got all the benefits and everything like that, and they still got a percentage. I don't know how much they made off of me, but they made a lot of money because I came into a full-time role, full-time salary. I hired like a kind of a mid-level salary for that position. And I was just like, this is insane that you guys don't know that I was the person being hired for that position. And it kind of scared me because when that recruiter said that, she was like, yeah, they hired somebody else through return release. Sorry. I'm like, what? That person's me, man. So that's why I said like this falls into the other, because like I technically got hired through a recruiter for a graphic design role at FleetCor, which was a totally different team, totally different department, et cetera, et cetera. But I personally went onto FleetCor's website and applied for that particular position myself, interviewed myself, set up their interviews and everything myself. And they had to get involved because I was still technically under contract because that year hasn't lapsed yet. And it was just a crazy, crazy process. And and it was a little scary too, man. I was just like, I didn't know, like, what to do if I didn't get that job, because I really thought that they were going to kill my deal. I really thought, because I got the job and I was waiting for that offer to come through, that those forms to come through so I can accept that offer. And when she said that, and I was like, man, they got to get involved now. They're going to kill my deal. They're going to rescind my offer. I'm going to be, and like, this is my first role ever. Like, I'm sick. I was like tossing and turning for days, guys. Like, I was sick and I was stressing myself out. I was talking to my wife, like, what am I going to do if I don't get this FleetCor job? Like, this is a great experience. My first ever UI UX job here. Like, this is going to be so cool for me. And I just really felt like they were going to kill the deal for me. But that didn't happen. All the stress was for naught. They got the deal done. I got the job, and then the rest is now history. So that was number two. So actually that was number three in the list. We're going from lower to higher. So number four was recruiter. Number three was other. I need to know how to count. And now number two. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Number one and two, dude, it was a freaking it was kind of a toss-up in the beginning. Because in the beginning, it was like number one was trending. Then number two was trending number one. It just kept going back and forth and back and forth. I believe to this day that if I would have kept this thing up, it would have trended the other way. I'm just being honest. I could be wrong because based on the results and the numbers here, that this one I'm about to say was like number one for like days. And this is like a 7-day survey that I did. I left up for like 7 days. And this was like on top. And then the last couple days it started trending down a little bit. Like the last 2 days it like went down to number two. So number two, what at 33% was job boards. Job boards, job boards, job boards. Basically, job boards has been probably 98% of how I got all my jobs. Not these last two jobs. The last two UX jobs, this is just for any design job I've ever got. Ever got was at a job board. Well, I went on to like, and the job board that I always got a job with was good old Indeed. Thank you, Indeed, for helping me out. You are not a sponsor, but I really do thank you for helping me out in my design career initially. So Indeed, well, basically job boards in general was at 33%. And you know what? I was kind of surprised that it didn't go higher. I was surprised it didn't actually stay at number one because a lot of people were really selecting this one as the option of choice. And I was very surprised that like, hey, I'm still surprised. I'm really still surprised that it was not number one because number one was, I'm going to say it after I talk about this job board thing. Job boards was like, I feel like a lot of people do this. I always hear stories about people like, yeah, I went on a job boards and I applied to 100 jobs. I got 12 interviews. I got 2 design whatevers and blah, blah, blah. They basically break it down or whatever as far as like percentages. And people think this could work too. This has worked for me. Like the amount of jobs, the more you put into the pot, the more outcomes you could get. It's like playing the lottery. The more numbers you can play, the higher odds of hitting the lottery or getting a new job. And I play that game too. I would say that for my first trying to get UX jobs, I didn't apply to that many jobs. I think I applied to maybe like 5 to 10 UX job before I got my first one. That's why I always say, man, I got lucky, dude. Like people always ask me like, what's your strategy? I'm like, applying for jobs, updating the resume as I went to, and a little sprinkle of lucky dust, lucky charm dust. There's a little sprinkle of that because that's honestly true, man. I also think that the reason why I got that FleetCore job because I had, prior domain knowledge. Like I knew the products, I knew the system, I knew people there. So I just can't solely say that it was pure luck. It was some advocates there for me too. Cause like, I think my former boss was, talking to my former boss about me and my personality and how I worked. And I think that really helped. He also talked to other members of the team because I actually used them as referrals as well. I was strategizing, man. There's a little bit of strategy involved in me getting that job too. Cause like the people who I asked to like, be like referrals was like my former manager or like the former people I work with on the team. So that, I think that helped too. Actually having prior domain knowledge probably definitely helped, and me knowing like their design, their brand strategy and their design palette and all that other good stuff. And I also had good idea of what that was. And also and I was pretty much new off of that. So I kind of remembered all the products that they had. So it wasn't really that big of a deal to like, well, pretty quickly I got up to speed because like I was already up to speed They just had to tell me like, oh, we did this differently. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't know you guys were doing that. So that was cool. So yeah, 33%, man, was job boards. Um, this is not to say don't, you know, don't go through a recruiter or don't go through the website or only do a job board or whatever like that. Like at the end of the day, this whole thing is a strategy, right? You got to hit all of them. You got to hit all these and then some. So these are just the top ones. And so, dun, 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 drum roll, please. That's my take of a drum roll. Maybe I should put in an audio sound. You know, I don't feel like looking for that. Anyways, so number one, to my surprise, maybe not your surprise, but number one was referrals. Referrals. Guys, I ain't gonna go lie. I'm gonna put my phone down real quick so I can talk with my hands more. Fairy fingers, sprinkle dust, whatever, Lucky Charms. So like referrals. The reason why I was surprised about referrals was because this based off my particular background. Like I've never, probably because I'm a little biased, but I've never got a job with the referral. Like I've never got a job, you know, by saying, "Hey, so and so works at this company. Yeah, hey, can you throw my name in the pot and give me a referral?" And I kind of talk about this in that video where I talked about, you know, me giving people referrals. And so this is my take on referrals from my place. See, this is also a little weird too. Um it's kind of hard for me to give a referral if I'm the like the new person on the team too. So keep that in mind. I don't have any sweat equity in the company just yet. And so if you're asking for a referral for a company that I work for, I just got a job there. I ain't got that much weight, guys. Like I don't have the clout yet. So you gotta wait till I get like 2, 3 years deep and to get those referrals. But anyways, so when I was at Fleet Corps, there were a bunch of people that I've met. I'm not gonna call anybody's name out, but there are a bunch of people that I've met around my UX journey here in the ATL. And we had posted a new job for a UX designer, but we hired somebody else, which is a really great guy. Shout out to him. I'm not gonna say his name either. But anyways, we had posted a job about a UX position. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, I know somebody who could do that job. So I called this person up. I was like, hey, yo, so and so, do we have a new position coming open? I really think you'd be good for this role. But he was like, you know, I really don't want to do this. Like, I really want to go into another direction, like product. So I was like, yo, that's cool, man. He's like, you know, I really appreciate you, you know, thinking about me. I'm like, yeah, of course. So that was the only person I've ever thought about that could be good to on the team. But at the same time, he didn't reach out to me personally and ask me for a referral. And so this goes back to when I was working at Fleet Corps, I had people see that job posting, and because they talked to me once, or because they see me at a meetup, or because they follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram, they felt like, you know, I have a good rapport with Eric. He's going to refer me to this position. And that's a fat no. Because, you know, just because I've seen you once or just because I talked to you once does not mean that we are good enough friends or business or associates or whatever you want to call it, to have that type of relationship with me. This sounds so bad, but I'm being so honest because I hate this shit. It's like, yo, just because I work at Fleet Corps does not mean that I'm going to recommend you, person that I don't even know, person that I don't even talk to, person that only I talked to once, that I'm going to refer you for a job, dude. That's not how this works. And it's insane that people only want to talk to you when they need something. I was just like, damn, like the person that I called about this particular role, I talked to this person. I was literally talking to this person like once a week. Like there's a lot of people that I talk to periodically that I met at these like along the way at these meetups or whatever things, boot camps or whatever from UX. You know, I talk to these people a lot, like on the daily. It could be It could be once a week, it could be twice a month or whatever. Like I'm talking to this person every month, right? They're not like it's not like a friend from high school where I talk to like every other couple days. Like it's not that because people have lives, but we were talking a lot. Like we would meet up a lot. We would go to coffee shops a lot. We would talk business and UX a lot. And so I feel like I knew this person and I felt like, hey, this person is nice enough. And like I seen their work. I know who they are as a person, so I was like, yo, this person could be good fit for the role because I could see myself working with this person. But there were some people who would hit me up that lived in another state. Like this one person hit me up from like Virginia. She was like, yo, I see that you work at Fleet Corps. Can you recommend me as refer me? I'm like, who are you? Like, I don't know you. You don't even follow me on LinkedIn. You don't follow me anywhere. Like the day she followed me was the day that she sent me the message. I'm just like, what is happening right now? Like, it was just so strange to get that. It's just a weird feeling on my end. Like you guys got to think about that too. It's like I admire the hustle. Don't get it twisted. I admire the hustle. I admire the grind, etc. But at the same time, it's awkward not only for you, but it's awkward for me as well because like I don't know you. I've never seen your work. I've never talked to you. I don't even know if you're a good fit for the team. I don't know your background. It's going to be kind of hard for me to refer you. Like, honestly, like I never had a conversation with you. It's going to be kind of hard for me to assess whether or not this person is a good fit for my team. Because like, let's say I do refer you and you do get on the team and I fucking hate you. Like, not hate, but like, I don't like working with you. You're miserable. I don't think you have good design skills. And guess who that reflects on the most? Me. That reflects on me so badly that now I build distrust with everybody around me. I build distrust with my managers, even though I have nothing to do with your outcome and your outputs. Let me give you an example. And I think I said this in a video as well, where I had a really bad experience one time in college where this one guy, I was working at Arby's of all places. Good old Arby's. Do you still eat Arby's? Sometimes it's not because I want to. It's just like I don't know. It's just weird like nostalgia. So anyway, I was working at Arby's. I was working there for like 4 years, and this is like the tail end of that 4 year end. So I went to work somewhere else in college. But one of my dorm friends who I've known for like a year or whatever, his parents told him like he needed to work or whatever. So he was like, "Hey, I need to get a job. Can you hook me up and get me a job where you work?" I'm like, "Are you sure you want to work at Arby's?" He's like, "Yeah, I work there. You work down there. I can try to work your same shift so we can ride together and carpool." I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be perfect, man. It'd be nice to have somebody there that I correspond with every day to work with." And so, dude, guys, unicorns, ugly unicorns, UX unicorns, all you guys, I got this guy the interview. I basically got this guy the job because who is not hiring people for fast food? Maybe not now, but back then you could walk in the door with dirty shoes on, they hire you. It was insane. So I basically got this guy the job interview. I told him like, yeah, he's a great guy. I've known him for a year. He's really awesome. They're like, yeah, bring him in. We'll talk to him. Like if you think he's good, he's good. I'm like, well, damn, like if they think that what I think is great and they just agree with that, like, man, I hold some weight. They don't even have to know guy and they automatically like him because they like me. That's big. Remember that. People might like the person you might refer, but it's just because they like you. And that's a big responsibility. But anyway, guys, do you know what happened? Do you not know what happened? Homeboy didn't even show up for the freaking interview, man. He didn't even show up. And then he was like dodging me for the past like 2 days. I was like, bruh, where were you? I told him like, dude, you have the job. The job was in the bag. The job was yours. He's like, yeah, man. I was thinking about it. I was just wasn't really feeling it, didn't really want to do it, etc. I'm like, why didn't you tell me that before I set everything up for you? Like you could have told me like a couple days before, like, hey, yo, Eric, I was thinking about it, man. I'm gonna go ahead and like not do it. I could have went to my manager and said, like, hey, my friend, he thought about it. He doesn't really want to do it. So that takes the weight off of me, right? That I went there relay message so that they're not wasting their time setting up this interview, taking their time out, looking at the watches, like where the hell is this dude at? And they coming to me like, yo, your friend didn't show up for the interview. I'm like, what? He ain't show up? Why not? Like he didn't call. I'm like, damn. And this dude was dodging me for the past couple of days. And that's when I talked to him. I was like, bruh, don't you realize what you did to my reputation, bro? Like you killed that. You ruined that. You took me. I gave you that great referral and you freaking ruined it. I was just like, damn you. And so I'm not gonna lie to you, that kind of ruined me giving referrals to people that I don't know. Like I have to know like who you are. Even though I knew this guy for a year in a college setting, but I didn't know his work ethic. I never actually worked with him. I was just friends with this guy. I didn't know anything beyond that. And so like, can you imagine that happening to me with somebody who I knew, who I seen every day, and then trying to do that for somebody who I don't even talk to on a regular basis, someone who I'd never even seen before, somebody who I only met once? What if that actually happened? What would happen? Man, dude, I don't want that to happen again. So I'm not saying I'll never do a referral. Don't get it twisted. I would do a referral in a heartbeat if I knew you. I would do a referral in a heartbeat if I knew your work ethic, if I knew that you could design, if I knew that you could be a good person to work with. Because at the end of the day, I got to know your character too. I got to know that you're a good person. I got to know that I can actually work with you. Like if we're having conversations and let's say like you're asking for advice from me and I give you that advice and you don't take that advice, that lets me know what type of person you are. You're going to be that person to always push back. You're always going to be that person to never like accept anything because you're asking me for advice. Understand that. You came to me for advice, and if you don't accept it, if you don't take it in, if you're gonna argue with me about what I say and think that what I say is like, I don't agree with that. I'm like, why the hell you ask for my advice? If you know everything, why the hell we even talking? So, anyways, that that has been my referral thing. And it just goes back to you have to know people, man. At the end of the day, I think referrals are great if you know the person. If somebody at a job and you work with them before, that's a good referral source. Or let's say you like your best friend works at a UX place and you guys converse about UX and you know his background and things like that. You think he would be a good fit for your company that you work for because he's like feeling burnt out. That's a good referral too. But dude, referring people that you don't know is difficult because it's hard to vouch for them. It's really hard. I'm not going to lie to you. And so I don't recommend that you guys approach me about referring and working where I work because I don't know you. Yeah, you follow me on LinkedIn, you follow me on the podcast, you might go to the website, you might feel like you know me, but I personally don't know you. And I apologize in advance if I like hurt your feelings, hurt your feelings, hurt your feelings. If I hurt your feelings, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. And guess what? You'll live and you'll move on and you'll do great things. And you'll be like, guess what, Eric? I got a job here and here and here. I don't need you. Good. I'm glad you don't need me because I don't need that added pressure anyway. I got enough shit on my plate, bruh. My shit is sky high like Thanksgiving. I got turkey, mashed potato stuffing, all kind of stuff. Cheese whiz. Cheese whiz? What you making? I don't know. Just hungry, man. Anyway, so when I put that out there, a lot of people are like, yeah, I really want to know what methods people are using because I was just curious. I mean, I already had a job. I just wanted to know, what other methods people doing. But there are people in the comments saying like, yeah, I really want to know what method people are using because it's hard for me to do this and do that. And that just goes back to, comparing yourself to people. Like you can't compare your UX journey to somebody else's UX journey. Do you like that segue? Yeah, that segue was nice. So yeah, that just goes into how you should not compare your UX journey to somebody else's UX journey. I can give you some examples of like when I would compare myself to people back in college where, I really thought that I was a great designer. I really thought that I was a really good graphic designer. I worked at Disney. I was really on my on my high horse. And so when I came back and I was trying to apply for the local newspaper graphic design gig and somebody else got it over me, I was just like, how the hell did this person get this job over me? I'm like, I'm way better designer. I have way better skills. I'm way better this. I'm way better that. It was just like, how am I better than them? I was comparing myself to them like, well, they don't do this. They don't do that. They don't do this. And I was just killing myself, wrecking myself, just obsessing over why I didn't get that job versus like, oh, this person is not, they're not necessarily better, but they're a better fit for the business. That's what it boils down to. Like, you can't compare yourself to others who are doing the exact same thing as you. So let's say for example, we're both in the same like UX boot camp. We both graduate at the same time, etc. But I get a job before you get a job. And you're wondering like, how the hell did you get a job over me? Like, you're not a good designer. You don't do this. You used to start being overly negative, right? You're not like to my face, but like in your mind, you're just thinking like super, super negative of like how you're better than this person or how you're able to do this over this person. Sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes you gotta think more positive and so like, oh, good for them, man. They really do. They do this well. They do that well. I can see why they would choose them because they do this and this. Versus like, well, I'm better than them, and how the hell did they do this and such and such and such and such? Dude, that's a very like toxic way of doing things, and it happens all the time, man. I think it's I want to quote Theodore Roosevelt here. He says, "Comparison is the thief of joy." Think about that, guys. And Mark Twain said, comparison is the death of joy. I'm going to go with the thief one because death and dying doesn't really resonate with me. That's just too harsh. I'm going to go with stealing. I'll say, so comparison is the thief of joy. Dude, this is so true. This even goes beyond comparing yourself in your UX journey. This goes on to comparing yourself to people on Instagram. How you can only see the highlight reel of their whole freaking life. That shit ain't real. And that shit can like really hurt you mentally because you're thinking like this person's living this great life. And now all of a sudden you're thinking like, man, I'm not living this great life. I don't have this. I don't have that. And you're going to the spiral of negativity about why things are not going great. How come you're not there, but they are? How come they're doing this and they're doing that? But you don't even know that they're doing the same thing as you. They're comparing themselves to other people, trying to mimic them. And it's just this human centipede type of thing. I almost said bullshit. Actually, I just said it. It's like this human centipede thing of like, you're trying to keep with this person, keep with this person, keep with this person. I probably should have said keep it with the Joneses. But Human Centipede is a great movie. It's horrible, but you should watch it. Don't watch number 2. It's way worse than number 1. Ugh. Anyway, when you are comparing yourself, not only your job, your life, your UX journey, you are going to go into a spiral of negativity because therefore you are now questioning everything. You're questioning whether or not you're even good. You're questioning whether or not you can even get a job. You're questioning whether or not you're like, oh my God, I can't get a job. I'm gonna have to go back to being a graphic designer. Bruh, you can't do that. You have to focus on you. And I just thought it was very interesting that people wanted to know how other people got a job thinking that they could do the same method, thinking they were gonna have the same outcome. That's not necessarily true, guys. You might could get the same outcome, but I don't think you're gonna. I don't think that's 100% correct. I don't think what I did, how I got my first UX job, that somebody else is gonna be able to replicate to the T. That's not how I think, man. That's why I go into the whole comparison thing. Like, I don't ever want you guys to feel inept or low or belittled, or I don't even know what kind of words I'm trying to say, or lower than me because I have a UX job and you don't. Because eventually you'll get one, and eventually you'll find a method that works best for you. I don't want you to be like, well, Eric got a job this way, so I have to do that. No, you don't have to do that. That's just the route that I took, and a little bit of sprinkled dust of luck there. That's just how I did it. So therefore, you could take some inspiration from what I did, but don't just try to compare it and try to follow it to the letter, because that might not work for you. And I don't want you to get into a spiral of negativity, feeling like you failed because you didn't get a job right away, or it took you a long time to get that UX job, or you didn't get the job that you actually wanted because your friend works at Google and you wanted to work at Google, but did you even apply to work at Google? Probably not. That's where I got into trouble. I wanted to work at Google, and I was like, how come I can't work at Google? Because I didn't fucking apply to work at Google. That's why, dude. Like, come on, Eric. Quit being an idiot. Like, you have to apply. And when I did apply, I got no calls back. So yeah, you don't want to get into that spiral of negativity, man. So that's why I'm saying, like, don't compare yourself to others, man. Don't compare your journey to somebody else's journey, because guess what? They're called journeys for a reason, and sometimes you travel alone. And that's fact, because what I do and what my UX journey is going to be different from yours. It could be similar, right? It could kind of look the same, but it's not the same because there's some nuances in there that happen. Oh, maybe like you zoom out, you get 10,000 feet. It's like, oh, those people are going, those people right there, they're traveling in a straight line, right? They're going straight. But then you zoom in a little bit closer, like, oh, this person is straight lines a little bit shorter than this person. Then you zoom in a little bit more, like, oh, this person's on the highway and this person's driving on a dirt road with a skateboard. And you realize, like, oh, there's nuances to travel. There's nuances to the journey. I really hope that made sense, because when you're that far, let me get my hand in the frame. When you're that far out and you're looking down, things can look relatively the same. The outcomes can look relatively the same. But as soon as you zoom in, you see the details. And it's like, oh, this person was driving on a highway and this person was driving on a dirt road with a skateboard. But they get there, they get to their destinations, right? They get to that destination, but one took a little bit longer. One road was definitely almost damn near impossible. They got a little help along the way. It went from a dirt road to a dirt path to a street. Then it went from a skateboard to a moped to a car. So therefore, your journey is going to have different blocks in the way as well. You got to figure out, how do I hurdle these things? How do I get around these things? How do I get to this boat from a raft? You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. If you can't find a boat, build a raft. You know, I say that in one of my rap songs. Pretty dope line. I might as well say I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. But anyways, man, don't compare yourself to others, man. And getting a job is it's tough. It's tough. Some easy for others. Some things you gotta do that others don't have to do. And speaking of doing things for jobs, so my wife and I are talking about, how jobs, some jobs, like, want you to take these like cognitive tests and these personality tests. I'm just like, what the hell is those even for? What are those even for? Are you not able to judge people based on your own intuition? Why do you need to bring in a program to help you siphon and sift people out? I get that you might get like, oh my God, you might get like 3,000 people into a database and you want to try to sift them out. But can somebody tell me, what is the benefit of someone going into user experience or going to any design role, taking a cognitive and personality test? Let me tell you something right now. I've taken those tests and I failed all of those tests. Does that mean I'm dumb? Does that mean I have a personality of a brick wall? Does that mean I'm hard to work with? What do those even mean? Because you don't even get the results. And those results are arbitrary. Those results are up to, you know, whatever the person perceives that they want to be. I guess they can go in and program and type in, I want this type of person. And you get that robot, you spit that person out. And look, man, just because you get these people to pass these cognitive tests, get these people to pass these personality tests, doesn't mean they're going to be a good fit for your business. That's not what that means. Dude, you're taking the human element out of hiring people, which I think is weird, strange. And you know the companies that do this, these cognitive tests and these personality tests, are smaller companies. These like mom and pop companies who only have like 2 or 3, maybe 10 employees, and they want to hire people who look just like them so they can create this echo chamber of work or whatever. I find that very, very strange. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that I've taken a personality test or cognitive test at a giant company or at a $1 billion company. When I worked at Disney, I didn't take one. FleetCor, didn't take one. My current job, didn't take one. It's always these like really small companies that want you to take these stupid ass tests. And can somebody tell me how beneficial is it for someone to take these tests? Because a person like me, I feel like I work great with a team. I feel like I can figure things out. I feel like I can do a lot of great things. If you give me one of these tests, you're going to miss out on somebody like me. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the super best person in the world. I think I have some great qualities, some great traits. And I think I do pretty good design work too. So you're willing to tell me you're going to be willing to miss out on people like that just because you want to implement this weird fucking test? It's so strange to me. And it's crazy that all these little small companies want you to do these weird things. They want you to take these personality tests, these cognitive tests. They want you to take all these design tests. They want you to come in, do 12 interviews just to pay you $30,000 a year. Do you hear me? They want you to jump through literally fiery hoops to work for them. And then they reward you with bullshit. They reward you with bullshit and utter nothingness. They reward you with no degree of like no comprehension of like education or advancement or anything else like that. They want you to come in and want to love to work. This is strange too. That people who do design, people think that that's all they do is design. Like people want to hire you just for experience. People want to hire you just so you can get something on your resume. Like, hey man, experience. Hire me just for experience doesn't pay the bills. Hire me just to say like, oh, it'd be good for your resume, it'd be good for your portfolio, doesn't pay the bills. Because guess what? I don't want your shit fucking project anyway. It's not gonna be good for my portfolio because I'm never gonna put it in there. So how's that benefiting me? It doesn't work. And so I'm going on a rant here. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about these like companies because this has happened to me, where like they wanna look at designers as like they're artists. Like artists are very passionate about what they do and their expressionism, etc. like that, because they're expressing them. They're expressing who they are. And they don't care if you don't like what they are doing because it's for them. But when you enter into the world of design, when you're solving business problems, when you're solving problems for companies, it's different. It's no longer art. It's no longer a self-expression. It's for a task and a duty to get things done to make money. Because guess what? You want to make money, and I also want to make money, and I also want to make money off the time that I'm spending doing what you want me to do. I don't agree with what you're making. I would never make that. I would never come up with that. But I'm sorry, I'm trying to solve a business problem for you, and I should get paid to help solve that problem that you are not able to solve yourself. That's all I'm saying. And so when these companies want you to jump through all these dang hoops and do all these things, and they want to pay you $30,000 a year, you gotta run, man. You gotta run for the hills because they want you to do everything, but they won't do anything for you. It just shows you. It's so weird. It's just so crazy how that works. And then, like I said, I also want to go back to when I talked about how people look at designers and think that's all they want to do. Like we want somebody who loves to design, who lives and breathes and sleeps design, who's very passionate about design, who like does design as a hobby. Bruh, I don't do design as a hobby. I do this podcast as a hobby. I do photography as a hobby. I do jujitsu as a hobby. Those are hobbies. I do not do work as a hobby. Let me repeat that. I do not do work as a hobby. That's not a hobby, my dude. That is work. And man, it's just crazy. Like when you approach a doctor, do you ask them like, "Hey, yo, when you're a doctor, do you go out? Do you like freelance? Do you like do you like surgeries for free? Do you just go out and just make things for your portfolio, just say you did it, et cetera, et cetera?" No. So why as a designers do we get that treatment? Like, yo, we want somebody that just does design for fun, that just does things for coolness. That's not how this works, man. Design should be treated like every other profession, man. And you should not expect me to be doing work as a hobby. That's insane, dude. Can you imagine living in a world like that where doctors are just giving out surgeries for free just because they do it as a hobby on the side? Like, hey yo, meet me at Starbucks. We're gonna talk about your surgeries. Then we can do it at your house later. Or you can come to my house and we can do it there. Can you imagine that world? Can you imagine that world? Just take the most elite profession that you can think of and apply it to what people are asking you to do as a designer. Would you do that? Would you do those things? No. Would you go out and give your mom heart transplant surgery just to say that you have some experience that you can put in your portfolio? Like, look, like, hey, you go to that doctor. Have you done any heart surgery? Yeah, I did my mom last week, and we had the funeral Thursday. What the fuck? What are we talking about, guys? This is so strange. I'm very passionate about um that too. Like, when you do get your first UX job, man, make sure that it's the job that you get what you need to get out of that role because they're gonna get what they get out of you no matter what. So make sure you get whether that's the experience you want to get out of that role, make sure you get that. The mentorship aspect out of that role, make sure you get that. The education, the the money, whatever. Make sure you get what you get out of that role because people are gonna get what they get out of you. And you gotta make sure that you are happy with that outcome because nothing's worse than you getting that first UX job and you're like, this company sucks. They don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do this. And then you're sitting there like, I should have asked for more money. I should have asked for mentorship. I should have asked for more education. Now you can't ask for those things because you already accepted the role. So now you're going to come in looking needy, like I need this and I need that. I need this. You can't do that now. You got to negotiate that stuff up front. And also, when you guys are negotiating like salaries, man, because this is going to happen. This is a little trick you can do. Not saying I did it, not saying I haven't done it. I cannot confirm or deny, but this is what it is. So let's say you're going in for a negotiation for a salary, right? These companies or these recruiters are always going to ask you, hey, how much did you make in your last role? Some people will tell you, don't give them that number, which is good advice. So you can do that, right, too. Or you can keep the conversation going, right? Or you can be like, let's say at your last job, you made like $30,000 a year and you're going in for a new job. And then the recruiter or the company you work for says like, hey, how much did you make at your last job? And they're doing like this nice, happy voice. Because what they're trying to do, they're trying to paint you to a box. They're trying to put you into a box of like, oh, he's making this. He'll be happy with just this, right? They're going to pay you as little as possible, guys. Companies want to pay you as little as possible because what? They have to keep profits as profitable as possible. Man, there's a lot of P's in there. But man, I was tight. Anyways, they're trying to keep things on the up and up. Had to check my recorder. So what you can do is this. Let's say you work at the last company you work for. You made $30,000, and they say, like, how much you make at your last job? Don't tell them that you made $30,000. Don't tell them that. You don't have to tell them nothing. What you do is this. You add $20,000 on top of that. Oh, I made 50. They're like, oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. So now you look like you've made a lot of money when you didn't. It is what it is. Because look, they're looking to pitch into a box. So why not make your box a little bit bigger? That way they can paint more on those lines, more inside those lines, right? So don't ever say, hey, don't ever actually give your number, because there's no way they can go and check that, because I don't think that's legal. You can't validate how much money somebody can make, because that's super personal. It's also kind of personal to even ask that. But if you do want to give an answer, don't give the answer. Give the amount that you actually want to make at that particular company, just in a reframed way. You could say, I'm looking to get XYZ, or in my past role, I've made $60,000. I made $100,000. I made $150,000 a year. And now they're like, oh, okay. Boom. And then you go. And what they want to do is they want to pay you that amount, right? So if you say you've worked $30,000, you made $30,000, the next company that asks that, they're going to offer you the same amount, dude. Or maybe $1,000 more. They're going to offer you the same amount. And you can be like, why the hell would I take the same amount for a different role? You're making lateral moves. The game is to go up, right? The game is to go up. So that is my little tip for you guys to do. So if you don't leave here with anything, leave here with that. Don't ever give them the number that you've made at your last company. Just don't do it. Don't do it. And if you do it, make sure you give them the number that you want to get paid at. So if they say, if they ask, what'd you make at your last company? You say, I made $100,000 at that last company, and they should pay you. And they're going to be like, oh, we went back to so-and-so and we can only offer you $100,000. You're like, take it. I'll take it. Thank you. Guess what? Because it's freaking $50,000 more than what you made at your last company, bruh. Therefore, you win and they look like they just got a deal. So therefore, they're getting what they want to get out of you, and you're getting what you want to get out of that company. All right, guys, that has been the podcast. I appreciate you guys for listening. Hey, I appreciate for all the new subscribers as well. You know, I talked about we want to make it past 340, and we did. We're still trending up. Still doing things, and also the website is still being updated. And also, I'm revamping the calendar for mentorship and coaching, so that you guys can go in there and schedule a 30-minute call or an hour call with me. It was just initially 30 minutes, but I bumped it up to offer an hour call for those who want to do like portfolio reviews or interview tips or negotiations or whatever you want to work on. You have more time to do that now. I'm doing it for you guys. So you can go in there, 30 minutes or an hour session, book that with me. That's being currently updated. More to come on that. Also, make sure you go to the uglyunicorns.com website. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, like, comment, and subscribe. And also make sure you subscribe and download the podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. I don't care where you're listening. Just make sure you do that. Like, make sure you subscribe and comment, and also rate it 5 stars. Anyways, guys, that has been the podcast. it was going to be a short one, but it looked like it got kind of long again, because I love to talk. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you. I'm glad everybody had a nice Christmas. I hope you got what you wanted to get. And also, I'm returning the Peloton. The Peloton is leaving the facility. I've only used it a couple times. My wife used it once, and sometimes you just know when you know. It was kind of pretentious, and also, I like being around people. Um, Being on a spin bike was okay, but like being around other sweaty individuals struggling together, it has a different dynamic. That's why I like jujitsu and Orange Theory, and we also did a lot of like spin classes before the pandemic. So we missed that, and having the bike was just really strange. So anyway, I'm probably just gonna ride my actual bike, my actual bike on the not on the streets, but on the trails. That way I can get the wind in my hair, the wind that I don't have in my hair because I don't got any hair. I don't have any hair. Anyways, guys, that has been a podcast. I appreciate you rocking with me. This has been Eric Abram, and like I always say, don't just be a unicorn, be an ugly unicorn. Peace.